This is episode 146 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Lisa Moore. Lisa is the co-founder of More Life Capital with her husband, John. They specialize in multifamily assets in the state of Utah. We're going to get into our journey. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jonathan. Happy to be here. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited to get you on the show, and I'm glad that we actually have met in person back at
Yeah.
BPCon, which is a shock because I haven't met everybody in person. So it's good to
Yeah.
finally get you on here. Let's start with where the transition started. Growing up, were you interested in real estate, or did something happen along 2017 that led you to go on this voyage?
I feel like I always had sort of an interest, but never did anything with it. It always seemed interesting. My mom's best friend, she was like an agent, and I can just remember talking to her and stuff like that. And she was always like one of the top agents in Massachusetts. And
Yeah.
man, that seems cool. And I sort of thought about getting my license when I was younger, but just never did anything with it. And then when I moved to Utah, I was like, all right, I want to I want to buy a house, want to get involved in real estate, and started the journey then. So.
What was the start of the journey more about just wanting to get into a house and then see it, or were you thinking long-term like investment status at that point?
I was thinking investment. My plan was to buy a single family and house hack. I wanted to own a house, but didn't want my expenses to get significantly higher.
Yeah.
So I knew if I house hacked, then I could offset, which I was able to do. And I actually was living for less at my house than I was at my apartment. Um, and now we still house hack, and it pays for about 93% of our living expenses in this house. So we are obviously big fans of house hacking, but my plan was to buy and then year or two later, move, keep that one, rent it, and kind of just keep doing that and see how it evolved. And we did that and bought some other ones and just kind of kept growing. So
Are you engaging in the single family house hack where you're either renting a lower unit or a room, or are these multifamilies?
we've done both. We did duplex, triplex, and then our current house is a single family. We bought it. There was it was a sort of finished basement. But we remodeled all of it and turned it into an apartment. So, technically we're in a single family with a mother-in-law basement
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. When you got started, were you thinking, hey, this is a great way to scale out of my regular job? Or were you just thinking like, wow, this extra income would be excellent?
My goal was to be able to get out of the W-2. My goal was to do it. I think at first I was like, if I could do it by 50, and then it was by 45, and I did it at 37. So it was a quick escalation. Like once I feel like I'm one of those people, once I decide on something, it's like full bore ahead. And we were just kind of insane for a few years of buying and doing refinances and remodels. And we look back on, we always do the year in review and write up everything we did. And
Yeah.
as you're writing up those 2 years, it's like, yeah, I feel like we want a little break. We kind of not the last couple of years.
Yeah. Once you start to understand what your buy box is, if something presents itself, it's almost like, well, this is too good. We have to figure out how to make this an asset. And then maybe we just, finish that one and then move on to this one. How
Yeah.
did you start the deal flow for the properties? Were you looking on the MLS in the beginning, or did you have access to off market or wholesalers in your area?
They were mostly all on market to begin with, the MLS. We also, any property we buy, we will go and we'll talk to all the neighbors. And one, just to make sure that we're friends with them.
Yeah.
And if anything ever happens, they call us first. And it's also like eyes on the property. So if anything's happening, when we've had this happen, neighbors call and be like, hey, just so you know, this is going on, which has been very helpful. And when we're doing remodels and things like that, it's just always good to have the neighbors on your side. And we found properties that way. Our neighbor, the duplex, and we bought 2 duplexes off of the same couple. They own the property next door, and just started talking to them. And there's another property. It used to be an 8-unit, and it got a weird long story, but that's another property that we've been working on now for going on a year. That one of the long build relationship type ones.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so and now we're working with brokers, but also starting to do some off market. We just started sending out postcards, see how that works. But
Yeah, I think the advice of trying to figure this stuff out in the beginning, getting where you got, you're going to go to wholesalers, but you know a lot more now. So if you went to them in the beginning, it would be harder to kind of vet the deals that they were sending you. And now you guys have so much experience, you're going to be able to kind of go through, or direct to seller, you have the dialogues and everything already. And hopefully you also have a lot of proven assets that you've already done, because I think what you said was really important. I used to do knocking around foreclosures because you couldn't have access to the property, but I still think it's really important to know the neighbors on any asset, especially if you're not going to be house hacking there and being someone who's available. Because, like you said, they're going to be your eyes and ears from the outside.
Yeah.
You don't need to have cameras everywhere to find out what's happening. They can tell you, this car's been there. I don't think that's your tenant, and that can really help you out long term. And for you, it turned into multiple deals, which I think people forget about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone we talk to, it's, if they don't have rentals, it's, well, if you know anyone who does, let us know.
How were you able to distill what you were getting in all the information in the podcast and then put it into action? Because I think there's people now who are really good on listening, they're really good on reading, but then they still claim that they're in analysis paralysis. So, what was the one thing that took you from information, not necessarily overload, but loading up on all this info and then making sure that you were still putting it into action? Because the good thing is you were already into action when you found bigger pockets, but that probably helped accelerate it a lot more.
Yeah. My background is financial analysis, so that definitely helps. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how my brain works. And so having that, but also just, I'm definitely once I like kind of decide on something, it's full steam ahead. And for me, once I got a taste of my health hacking, and that was just literally just renting a bedroom, and like my
Yeah.
goal was a few $100 a month, and I was making significantly more than that, and I was like, oh, like this is really nice actually. Keep doing this.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, it's just having confidence that you're going to fail, but you're going to figure it out and keep moving forward. Because there's no way that anyone is going to be in this in the real estate game and not make mistakes and not fail. Like, anytime I talk to somebody, they're like, "Oh, I've never made a mistake." I'm like, "You're either lying or you haven't been doing it long enough."
Yeah.
Because it's impossible to not make mistakes in doing this. And that's, you just have to know that. You just have to know that, like, you are going to screw up. You're going to make multiple errors and multiple mistakes, but you're going to be able to recover from it. You're going to learn from those, and you have to be willing to fall on your face and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, the last person I want to invest in is the person with a perfect record, because then the next one's going to be the problem.
Yeah.
It's like, well, at some point it's going to happen. I'd rather not sign up to be the next or get lucky until the streak ends, because it's going to end at some point, or the market
Yeah.
will dictate that the streak has to end then.
Yeah.